Hey guys, what's up? It's John, and I want to show you a mix that I did recently. It was for a mixing contest, and we were only allowed to use certain free plugins. We were allowed to use the Melch Productions plugins, the Stillwell audio demos, the Softube Saturation knob, and a few others. I decided to use just the saturation knob and the Stillwell demos. I knew that the Stillwell plugins were good quality, and I knew how to use most of them already, so it wasn't that hard of a challenge, but I knew it was lacking in a few areas. There's no delay. I'm not really a huge fan of the reverb, and there's no parametric EQ. All right, so let's dive into this and have a look at the mix. Okay, so let's look at the tracks. We've got lead vocal and a backing vocal. I've got a bass track, guitar mic, and a guitar pickup. There's sampled drums, a couple kicks, snare top and bottom, hi-hats, toms, overheads, and room mics. And I added in 2 samples for crashes. It seemed like the crashes weren't actually printed when they rendered the stems. For organization, I'm using a folder track for the drums and a folder track for the overheads, just to get these tracks kind of processed together, these samples with the drum kit. Let's look at the mix without any processing. Turn off all the plugins. Let's start with the guitar mic. This track was, it was probably a close mic. Lots of proximity effect, kind of muddy sound. So I used Vibe EQ, reduced the low end, further low shelf and high pass. And I've got a boost, another cut, 400 Hertz. So just really aggressively cutting that down. And then giving a little boost at 6K, just 4 dB. And 4 dB, the high shelf. So here's that. And without a parametric EQ, that's about as good as you can get. I've got that sending to verb 2. I'll show you that now. So that's, again, a Stillwell plugin. Verbiage. So this is pretty short. So this is saying 17, 18 milliseconds. Really short. Room size almost down at nothing. And lots of earlier reflections. To me, that sounds kind of like a distant mic on the acoustic guitar blended in with a close mic. And it sounds pretty good. The direct guitar track doesn't sound great, but it has some potential to make that mic sound more interesting. For processing, I'm using an EQ, really aggressively cutting things. I think it's actually the same settings, or at least the starting point that I did with the guitar mic. Then I added this reverb to basically give it a short delay. And then I reversed the panning of that. So those 2 tracks blended together. It just kind of adds in some nice mid-range, more clarity, and more space. Let's look at the bass. Really simple. There's nothing going on with it other than EQ. Here's the bass without any EQ. It's okay. It's a little dark sounding, and probably too much low end. So with EQ, same section. I didn't really hear any dynamics issues. He's playing pretty softly, and it's pretty solid all the way through. You can see that I did quite a bit of time stretching to get it locked into the grid, because the drums were on the grid, but the bass was just a little bit off. The guitar was a little bit off in just this one area. For getting the bass to sit in the mix, it was just a matter of finding a decent level. Just brought it up until it filled out the mix, but didn't overpower it. And it's not an important element. It's not carrying the melody. So it's not so important that it's heard more than felt. Let's look at the vocal. I thought the vocal was pretty good sounding.
It's not easily won. All these trials and memories of what I've done.
I'm doing quite a bit of parallel processing with that, with this crush track and also with 3 reverbs. Let's look at it with EQ and compression first. EQ.
From this life, it's not easily won. All these trials and memories of what I've done.
I cut the mids quite a bit, but I kind of wanted that area filled out by the acoustic guitar, and I just kind of wanted a more smoothed out, contoured sound. I'm using Major Tom on this track because you can hit it pretty hard without it sounding too pumpy. I'm using soft knee, the RMS detection, and feedback style. Getting about 10 or so dB of gain reduction on the hard parts.
From this life, it's not easily won. All these trials.
You can hear it duck down there a little bit, but I've also got automation there. All right, so for processing, it's going to reverb 1. We'll hear that by itself.
From this life, it's not easily won. All these trials and memories of what I've done.
Kind of a nice sounding medium reverb. I've heard the verb 2 already. Show you the settings again.
From this life, it's not easily won. All these.
So this one has no early reflections. Verb 2 has lots of early reflections and very little room size. And then verb 3 is a little bit different because I wanted it to be pretty big, but I didn't want it to really get in the way and be heard while he's singing. So I kind of wanted it just to fill in the spaces. So to do that, I added in a second send, and that's only triggering the compression on this. So I'm going to turn off the compression. I'll actually mute the other 2 verbs. You can hear what this one is doing.
From this life, it's not easily won.
Okay, it's pretty big. And I'll add in this compression, and it's going to duck the reverb return whenever the vocal is present. Then when the vocal stops, it's going to bring up that reverb level.
From this life, it's not easily won. All these trials and memories of what I've done.
So really comes up mostly in the tail. And let's hear the final vocal with the 3 reverbs.
From this life, it's not easily won. All these trials and memories of what I've done.
All right, so the background vocal is kind of interesting. It doesn't follow the lead.
Fell for your love, now you're calling me home. I don't know where life's gonna go.
It's kind of dark sounding, using compression to squash it quite a bit. And I'm using a similar trick to what I did with the direct guitar to get a doubling effect.
Fell for your love, now you're calling me home. I don't know where life's gonna go.
And really boosted the high end, cut the lows up to 300 hertz, just to get that weird filtered sound. Wanted to push it back right to the background. That's also going to send 1, or to verb 1, And here it is with the lead vocal.
Coming for me. Now you're calling me home. Coming for me. Don't know where life's gonna go. Coming for me. Trusting you, Lord, with my heart and my...
And then I've got this parallel compression track for the vocals. So this just gets blended in to add thickness and kind of get in the last bit of clarity that was needed.
Coming for me. Now you're calling me. Coming for me. Don't know where life's gonna go. Coming for me. Trusting you, Lord, with my heart and my...
All right, all those tracks together that we've listened to so far.
For me. Coming for me. Now you're calling me. Coming for me.
Okay, so let's look at the drums now. I didn't do a lot of processing on the individual tracks. The toms needed some work because they didn't sound that great to me. But the kick in, kick out, snare top and bottom, the hi-hat, they all sounded fine to me. So it was just a matter of finding the balance, and I left them alone. Okay, let's look at the toms. They sounded a little bad to me at first, so they needed a little help. But for processing, I actually just did the same settings, same EQ and transient monster on all 4 tracks. So here's how they sound without the effects and without the reverb. And with the plugins. Sustain is more controlled, there's more attack, and the low end tightened up a little bit with that transient monster as well. So that's going to the reverb 2, and this is also going to the drums saturation. So let's listen to the drum kit with the crashes and with the room mic. It's a pretty natural sounding kit. The room mics were unprocessed. I mean, it's a sampled kit, but it sounded pretty unprocessed. And then for processing, I just hit it pretty hard with this major tom compressor and then dialed back the mix a little bit. I just wanted more smack on that snare. For the drum bus, I'm using Transient Monster, adding attack, adding sustain, Bombardier to glue things together. The gain reduction range is limited to 2 dB. So it's not hitting really hard, but kind of pulls everything together in the firm mode. And adding a bit of high end, cutting a little bit at 2.5K, cutting a little bit at, is that 820? Yeah, 820, and boosting a little bit there. So here's the drum kit. So pretty big difference. The majority of the processing that I needed for the kit happened on the drum bus. I also used the saturation knob in parallel with the drums. So the kick in, out, top, bottom snares, and the 4 tom tracks go to the saturation knob. So here's how that sounds on its own. Adding a little bit of an edge to that. So here's the drums with and without the saturation knob. just a little bit more exciting. For automation, I didn't do a lot. I used my BCF 2000 to draw in a couple, just kind of ride the vocal a little bit. The drum bus comes up whenever there's the fills. But also, this first verse is a little bit louder than the other sections. And I brought the drum level up a little bit throughout the song. Let's listen to the last part again with all the instruments in this time. Okay, so let's look at the master bus. I've got Bombardier, I've got Bad Buzz Mojo. Bad Buzz Mojo's plugin that has always confused me. I don't really know what's going on with it here, but it's adding something interesting. Bombardier is in the flat mode. Gain reduction is limited to 4 dB using the fast release. So I'm going to turn that on and put these on one at a time. So this really pulls everything together, adds a bit of lift, makes it sound more complete. So it was kind of interesting to mix using really none of the plugins that I normally use. And I think it turned out pretty well. Would have been really nice to have a parametric EQ. Really been nice to have console emulations and stuff like that. But you really don't need those things. You can get a great mix with just the stock plugins. You can get a great mix with really any one of the free bundles that you can get. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it gave you some ideas for interesting routing like that reverb trick, organizing your tracks, bus processing. Thanks for watching. Check out reaperblog.net for more tutorials. Thanks a lot, guys.